Hello everybody, welcome back. If you've just been with me for the last hour, lovely to be with you for this hour for a Craftalong. I'm loving the Craftalongs. I'm still getting over the excitement of one I was with Hayley a couple of weeks ago. Because I've got Hayley here for now as well.
It was that exciting. You haven't got over it until now.
Well, no, I'm just back to get back to more, which is great.
No, this is all about really taking it slow, taking everybody through step by step and slowing everything down. Usually it would go through 2 or 3 projects in an hour. We're going 2 or 3 hours for one project this time.
And I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. So if you haven't involved them so far, brilliant. If you're watching this one now and going, oh, I didn't know about these, well, this is the great thing is what we're working with tonight. It's our lovely little friendly penguin down here as well. And you can still get the kits for our penguin as well. So that is still available for you. If you would like to go for our little penguin, that you can do. You can catch up on watching week 1 on Rewind. That's quite tricky to say. But you can do that. And our little friend over here, if you want to give him a little home, then you can do. He would love it if you could join in. But make sure you stay with us tonight, because honestly, if you're just starting out and you just, maybe that first thing, this is what I discovered. It's one of those where I thought, I'd like to have a go, but I'm not quite sure how good I'd be to start with. It's great for people like you, like me, that where you go, just take it steady, and it's that confidence building of having to go at the first project. And you're part with us, you can message in as well. Now, we've got some other Craftalongs available which are coming up as well. So we're going to come straight to the Craftalong in a second, but just try these out. These are coming up, if you want to, in the next 3-week courses you're going to be seeing. We've got the embroidery trinket box, tricky to say there. That's going to be with Hayley as well. That starts the 2nd of August. £5 if you want to come along with that one. We've then also got a brilliant Matthew Palmer watercolour painting course. That also starts then at the very beginning of August, so the 3rd. Again, just a £5. And then we've got the messenger bag making course, again with our lovely Hayley. That starts on the 4th. That's just £7. But whoa, we've got even more, because on the 5th of August, we've got the crochet granny square. I'm all over that. The square bag with Catherine. That's going to be with you. Then we've got the Proggy Rag Rugging Hedgehog course. That's also with a lovely Hayley. That starts on the 6th. Again, just a £5. And then we've got the Knitted Cozy Hat course with Katie Barber. That starts on the 7th of August. Again, just £7. So all the projects are right here. So they're all here. So you can make all of these projects. Doing our little penguin, of course, tonight, as you can see there, which is lovely. We've also got our brilliant hedgehog, which is, look at that. These are absolutely fantastic.
So if you saw the rag rugging show a couple of hours ago, I think it was 7 o'clock, I'm going to say.
Oh,
that
yes.
uses a very similar technique. This is actually one of the first crafts that we brought to Shopping Telly, and this is about 8 years ago now.
Wow.
So he's my very, very first proggy kit that I ever made. His name is Graham.
Love that. Bottom of the screen, details for the hedgehog, 736 991, if you want to go for that one. Then what shall I go to next? Do we bring up, we've got a lovely bag.
Yeah, so this is made with granny squares. So granny squares are probably one of the first or second things that you learn to do when you start to crochet. So this just takes it to that next level. You make 17 granny squares in there and the handle, and then it all kind of, you crochet it all together. So there's no sewing together in there. Oh. It's all just squares and crochet.
Oh, that's brilliant. If you'd like to go for this one, this is on the side of the screen. That's £8, 575708. Where do we go to next?
Do the hats.
The hats.
I know what's coming.
Looking a bit peaky. Look at that, 3 Mitchell brothers. Put the hat on there. I love these hats.
Okay, so these hats are being done with Katie Barber. She's actually one of the buyers here at Enchanda, and she's knitted the samples, and she's going to try her hand at presenting. She's actually got a fantastic Instagram page, which has got huge amounts of projects that she's done on there. So she's an absolutely fantastic and a really talented knitter. So she's going to come and give us a go at her doing some presenting
as well. Are we going to get the option on the course to do the...
You actually will have enough wool to make both of them.
Oh, OK.
And there'll possibly be enough, if you get the hang of it and you don't waste any wool, there might even be enough to do 3.
Right. If you'd like to go for the hat, it's £7, 337 959. Now look, you're with us for this craft along now, so we want to crack on with it, and I'm very excited because I get to do stitching and I'm hoping some stuff in as well. The website is where you want to go to, of course, thecraftstore.com. Have a look on the website, and then all the courses, everything you would have up for order is all there. If you have, because this is, and teacher doesn't mind if you ask questions, if you have any questions during our craft along this evening, you can please do so. Email in to, if you want to get in touch with the studio, at thecraftstore.com. Get in touch with us, and teacher will obviously answer the questions. If you want to just share time with us, it's absolutely fine. If you've got just want to have a chat, just get in touch with us, basically. We'd love that. We'd love that. Very excited about this. Very excited, because I'm so excited because I've actually got a stool. They said it was Help the Aged week, so they brought one in for me.
We're going to put it up a bit, though.
I don't know, does it just go down or up? Oh, no, look at that, blimey. Oh, I could have a load of fun on this. Right then,
moving on.
Where are we starting from,
Hayley?
Hayley?
Leave him to that. Okay, so the homework from last week was to get all of your bits cut out and marked out for sewing, to do both of your wings, which we went through last week, and they are just two pieces, flat pieces, sewn together all the way around the edge and then turned right side out, and then the beak as well, and cut your feet out. So these were all the homework bits from last week, and now what we're going to do is start putting it all together to create the penguin. So first job we are going to do is I'm just going to unpin my bits from my fabric. Oops, there's another pin in. There we go. So first job is to get my feet attached to my fabric. Now, on this piece of fabric, obviously this is the side I'm going to sew, so I need to flip it over, and then just using my fabric piece as a guide, just make sure I've got those feet in the right position there. And these I'm going to put right close to each other, and I'm just going to sew these in with what we would call a stab stitch.
A what stitch?
A stab stitch.
Stab stitch.
So I'm going to come through from the back, and almost exactly where I've come up, that's where I'm going to come back down. And the amount of thread that's going to be on there is going to be so small that you're hardly going to see it. Can you just see it there? And then when I actually tie this off and pull it tight, you'll barely be able to see it at all. So let me just pull that tight and then plop it back out, and it's almost entirely gone.
Yeah.
So you're going to you don't need huge amounts of these on, you just need 3 or 4 just to hold those in place. And if you, because you're spanning quite a way there in between them, you don't want to pull that too tight, because what it'll do, if you pull it too tight, it'll scrunch it in. So you want to put your first stitch in, and then you want to go back through it. So you want to go exactly back through it, and then pull the second one tight, and that will disappear your stitch, but it will also, see how it's gone? And that will also stop you pulling that in. So you want, say 4 or 5 stab stitches on there, and because this is fleece, if you actually just run your fingernail over it, you see how you can fluff the fibres up, and you can get it gone completely. You see that one in comparison to the next one along to it? Let me just turn that around. So that was the first one I've done. There's the second one, and if I want to get rid of that, if I just run my fingernail across it, gone.
That's very good, that.
So that's going to attach your feet to your body. So we're going to just pin that second one on, because we've got a lot to get through, so we're going to pin that one on, and that can be done in a minute. So let's just put one more stab stitch in there. So you're going to go through your first time, but not pull it tight. Go exactly over that stitch you've just made the second time, and it's the second time where you're going to put that tension on and pull it tight. Now I'm working with a doubled thread on this, and I'm working with a black thread on orange, which obviously you can see, and it's for the benefit of the cameras. You've got a white thread in your kit, but you can use a coordinating one. If you've got an orange thread and you're struggling with a stab stitch, you can use an orange thread to hide that. So let me just pin that in there for now, because I want to move on to the next bit. So you're going to repeat that process. Let me just again fluff that up with my fingernail, and that will get rid of that stitch for me. So you can see you can completely disappear your stitches there. So that is the kind of the tummy part. So this is going to make the face, so these round bits at the top, they're going to create the bits where the eyes are. And then this piece here comes all the way down and creates the tummy. And that's where we've just sewn the feet on to the bottom there.
I see. Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So from there, we're going to put this to one side because we're going to need to work on the black bit of the head to join all of that head bit. And I think of the whole project, this is the most complicated bit. So this is the bit I want to spend the most time on so we get this bit right. So we're going to start with the black piece here. And you can see I've got this pinned on. Now, unless you've got a pen that will work on the black fabric, you're going to have a hard time getting this to actually show up. So you are going to have to use a bit of kind of common sense and a little bit of kind of guidance on this one. So if I pop that on there, you can see what I need to do is sew around and then down on that straight bit. So what you can do if you are really, really unsure is with your needle and thread, because obviously you've got white thread, is you can just run a little line of tacking stitches that follow the line of that line there.
Oh, okay.
If you're really unsure, you can put that line of tacking stitches in first. If you're all right, we can just go for it. So with this, because we're working towards what would be classed as kind of a dart here, it's actually better for us to work away from that. Right. Because if we start at this end and start sewing and anything goes wonky, we can end up with a kind of big squishy mess up here. So it's actually better for us to start up this end and then work our way down and round to the bottom there. So to start this one off, is that going to be long enough? I might regret this because I don't think this piece is going to be long enough. But if it isn't, we'll show you how to restart your thread. So it's all fine.
Yeah, it is. It's
all good.
It's win-win.
Okay, so we're going to go through that point there, which is where I'm going to leave the pattern here just so you can see if I slide it in a little bit. That's just that point there. That's where we're going to start, and we're going to create that little curved piece, stop, and then do the straight piece. So to come there, and then we are going to tighten that up so it's really nice and tight. And then from there, we're going to use that same stitch as we used for the wings. So we're going to go forward, halfway back, and then forward again. And the fleece is really, really soft, so you should have absolutely no problems in doing this. And pull those stitches nice and tight. You can see I'm pulling these really tight, which will mean that they more or less disappear. So
Claire has been in touch with us. Evening, Claire. She's very busy crafting along with our penguin.
Excellent.
Which is lovely. But she's curious about the messenger bag as well. Is it the same one that was shown in the Fabazine?
Yes, it is the same one as in the Fabazine. And we've done that because there's the people who tend to go for the Fabazine want all of the projects and want to know everything. And I think this is a really nice, it's a great size. It's one that we could bring to you to fit in with the kind of Craftalong price. And it's a really nice little bag.
It's a great bag, isn't it?
So we could have changed the colour or done something easy like that, but this is such a fun one because in that black and white print, you can actually take any of your fabric pens or fabric paints or any permanent markers to this and colour it first. So that's why we've brought it. There is one that's had some kind of colours thrown at it and looks a little bit jazzier. Ooh. So I'm sure we'll find that one and you can have a look at that one as well.
Claire, thank you very much indeed. I don't know how busy Claire is with our penguin, if she had time to send that email.
Well, she's that's fine. You can multitask in.
Multitasking, Claire. Thank you very much. If you also would like to show off and multitask, get in touch with us if you can do. It even says at the bottom of the screen, you've got any questions, craft along with us, let us know. studio@thecraftstore.com. Do you see that little bit at the bottom, little banner?
What?
Little banner at the bottom saying, get in touch, get in touch. If you just want to say hello, want to say good evening to your teacher, I didn't bring you an apple. I was meant to bring you an apple.
I'd rather have chocolate.
You'd rather have chocolate? Yeah. Okay. I'll see what I can do next time. I'll get chocolate. I'll get chocolate for teacher.
Okay. So I've done, this side is probably a little bit easier to see because when you're doing this kind of running back stitch, what you'll find is one side, it will literally it'll kind of almost, if I really pull it apart, you'll probably see there's little blue stitches in there. And your other side will have much longer stitches so you can see where you've been. But as long as you pull it nice and tight, even that bright blue thread will disappear into the pile of the fleece. And even if it doesn't, if you've still got a few showing, if you give it a little scratch like that, again, and just bring up that pile on the fleece, it will disappear. So I'm all the way down that head. I just need to do that little straight bit that was at the bottom. Let me get on the right side here. Oh, and I've got enough thread. I honestly thought I was going to run out there.
Under-threaded?
I thought I was going to run out there. So, so back on myself, and then forward, and then halfway we go back. And what that does is, initially it looks like quite a long stitch, but obviously you're halving it every time. So it means that your stitches are a lot closer together than you initially think, but it's a lot easier to work. So we're going to get right to the bottom, and then we'll just put a little whip stitch on the bottom there just to secure that off. So a whip stitch goes over the top. We did that the other night with our patchwork dog kit, and we'll go over again and through the loop.
I did the patchwork dog kit with you.
Yeah, Fee did the other half.
Yeah, finished it off.
Oh no, we're not fully finished. We've still got another week to go on that
one.
Oh, is
there?
Yeah. Oh. Well, I started late, didn't I? I got pinged.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
Pinged, so I had to start late. Okay, so that is, let me just give you Paul here so you can kind of see where that goes. This bit at the front, there you go, Paul, have an extra head. Give you a little hat so you can see exactly where that goes. That's the bit that comes over the top, and that dart that we've just put in on the back makes the back of his head there.
Right, I see.
Okay,
yep.
So now we are going to start adding that big body piece, so this big white piece, and we're going to be putting the beak in as well. So on the body piece, when you cut it out, let me just lay that back on the top there, you'll see there's this whole stretch here that says it's got a D, a C, a B and an A on it. All of your pieces will have the combined kind of the corresponding letters on it. So you see that goes into there, but we've got these extra little snips, and those extra little snips are to accommodate the width of the beak. So we're going to start off just by adding the black piece to the white piece. So my first job is to just mark on, let me just mark on the back here. There you go. Mark on the back. I've got D and C, and there, where's my pen gone? There you go. There's one, and there's the other, because that's going to be our starting point. So we want both of the fabrics, so the fluffy side is facing in, and then we're just going to line up those pieces there. Now we're going to start one side at a time, and you always start from where the beak would be and run round to the back of the head.
Okay.
It's tempting to do them kind of in opposite directions, or go round to the back and then start coming back round the other way. But please, please, please work in one direction. So always coming from the beak to the back of the head. You will get far better results. And it's that same thing we were saying about doing the dart on the back of the head. If you have any problems, you can kind of push them to the back of the head where you can hide them, rather than pushing them forward to the kind of beak area where you're going to be able to see them a bit more.
Yeah.
So it's all about, if you make mistakes, being able to hide them. That's what it is.
There's confidence for you from the teacher.
Really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just yeah. Okay, so we're going to do exactly the same stitch. Now, this time we've got a really curved side here that we're working on, and then this side is relatively quite straight. So if I just put that flat, you'll see that there's a bit of a curve on it, but it's relatively straight on this side.
Right.
So it's really important that you have that line, especially on this side, so you keep the distance between them nice and even. So I'm going to go again like a stab stitch, more or less back and forth in the same place through there, and then I'm just going to go loop it through and pull that really nice and tight. So I've got a really good start there, and that means I don't have a great big bulky knot.
Right,
there,
I see.
and it's nice and flat to start off. So now that's kind of pinned into place, and I can now turn that so I can get a good start on it. So what I did was found the kind of point on here, so let's call it point C, and point C on the other one, marked those points, kind of tied them both together, so I had a good strong starting point. And now I've got those lined up, I can turn that fabric. And your seam allowance should mean that you've got the same amount of fabric on the white as you have on the brown, the black. Yeah. And that will help you know that you're in the right place and line it up as you go. So we're going to do the same stitch as we have been doing. I'm going to turn it towards me, because that's the way that you guys will be working. So we're going to go down, back up on ourselves a little bit. back up, and then we're going to split the stitch halfway and come back down. And this is the same all of the way around. So we're going to keep going, and we're going to work our way slowly round this curve. And as it begins to curve, I would do slightly smaller stitches if you can on this one, because obviously you're coming around a curve and you want to keep it nice and tight as well. And also this is the feature, you know, it's the main bit of the face. So this is going to be the kind of feature bit. Yeah. So I'm going to keep going. Back on myself, and now at this point you can see these are two are fairly nice and straight together, and at this point we're starting to move, and this is starting to curve away from this side. So what I'll do is I'll put a second stitch in there in exactly the same place, and that just gives me like an anchor point, almost as if I've pinned it. And then I'll be able to, you know how we did in the beginning and we shuffled it round a little bit. I'm going to shuffle that around a little bit more so you can see that's a naughty pointy bit that shouldn't have been on there. Let's take that off. So you can see now I've got more or less a short straight line again.
I see.
And if you keep moving it round in those little bits, you'll do a short straight line at a time, and that will kind of keep you in line as you go around. And then there we go. So you can do this, if you've got a sewing machine, you absolutely can do this with a sewing machine. And this same technique that I'm using here of doing a small amount, a short kind of straight line bit, and then stopping. So I'll maybe want one more stitch in there, and then I'll double stitch just to give it a really good kind of almost like pinned anchor point. That's the same way as you do it on your machine. But instead of this kind of double stitch, what you do is you'd leave your needle down. So that's as if I've left my needle down on my sewing machine. I'm going to turn that round, so move the white bit round to get another short straight line there, ready to go. And if you want to put a pin in as you go, just to hold things in place, then you absolutely can. It's not essential, but if it helps you out, then I think that's all good.
But it sounds like it's crucial to make sure you do try and keep it in line all the way around. And
exactly. That's what you need to do. You need to try and keep it in line. And those seam allowances are there to kind of help you to keep that in line as well. So again, we'll stop. We'll just pull it around so we get another short straight line. And then we'll go again. In and out. And in and out again. And we'll go all the way around to the back of the head. This is probably the trickiest bit that you're going to do in the whole of this piece.
Oh, okay.
So this is why we're taking our time with this, and we're doing this whole side to make sure that you get the hang of this. And it's the most important thing is just to keep doing those short straight lines. So again, it's starting to drift off a bit there. So let's put a stitch in. Let's put a second one in just to anchor it, and then we'll move round. So back down, and then we'll move the white one round a little bit more, and you can see it now starting to take shape.
Yeah, yeah.
You see it starting to take shape there and curve round?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the wrong needle. That's not attached to anything.
Yeah, that won't work.
Okay, so let's come back up. There you go, up. And it's as simple as, you know, running stitch, running back stitch. That's all you're going to need for this. And just keeping to those short, straight lines.
Yeah.
And then keep moving it round, making sure you keep those edges lined up. See, I didn't cut this out very well, to be honest. I'll be honest, I didn't do my homework, and I did it in a rush in
No
the Dukey show.
No excuses. It's fine. You're like a DEP teacher now if you start saying that. I've not had time to prep. You know, you get the supply teacher that comes into class that no one knew.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Scott.
No, it's all right.
But,
okay.
you know, it is, once you get the hang of it, it's quite a quick project, this one. So you'll, if you are using a sewing machine, you'll be able to knock these out in no time. So we'll just keep working our way around, and a little bit more and a little bit more, all the way till we get all of that curved area in. And as I said, this is your trickiest bit. And if you just take it a small amount at a time, short straight lines, ideally don't use a pen that comes off all of your fingers and the table.
Oh, oh dear.
It's all
Oh,
right.
dear.
We'll fix that later.
Yes, no rush for that.
No rush for that. Okay, so I want to get all the way around on this side. I'll not do both sides because I am conscious that we do need to get the rest of him finished. But, oh, I pulled that out.
You
It's
promised
the
me we were going to
same-
try and get onto some stuffing.
Oh, you're desperate to stuff a penguin, aren't you?
I want to start, yeah.
Okay, you can do that. You can be in charge of eyes and stuffing.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. there is needle and thread in front of me, but I'm not touching it in any way, shape, or form because.
You were tempted though.
Hey.
Are you not tempted?
Yeah, I am very tempted
Okay.
after my the doggy stitching a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, you did. You
Around the
did really
templates.
well.
Yeah, we did a bit of.
And you know,
piecing, wasn't it?
we've picked projects for these that are not kind of so easy that it's you know, you could do it anyway. We've tried to give you things that are a little bit more interesting, a little bit more challenging, and yeah, we're trying our best. But if there is anything that anybody wants to learn on one of these Craftalongs, then email in, let us know. So I have just got to that little kind of neck bit, that little bit that goes all the way in, and then from there. I've still got a little bit left on here. Now what we need to do with this is turn it and get that lined up. So what we're going to have to do is just put a little snip into there. So into the bit where it goes, we just get the pattern here so you can see. So point J there where it just goes right the way in. We're going to need to put a little snip in there, and that little snip is going to allow us to move that fabric round and create that last little straight line that we need. I've picked up the wrong needle again. There you go. That last little straight line that we need to do those last few stitches and take it straight down to the end of the black fabric. And then what I'll do is show you one where I've stitched both of the sides in so we can show you how to get that beak in as well, because that is the next step once you've got both sides of the head in. And that's just about there. So for this, because I haven't ended with both pieces together, I can't use that whip stitch technique to finish this off. So we're going to go back to that stab stitch technique. So we're going to go in and out more or less on the same point. So we've got a good kind of double stitch as a fix there, and then we can loop through the previous stitch. You can take a little bit of the fabric as well, but don't take any that's going to like enough that's going to show through onto the front. And tighten that up, and then we'll do the same again. And then if you've still got thread left over, it is worth just running a few stitches just through one side of the fleece, not both, up and out of the way. So if it does pull out, you've left yourself a little bit of extra thread there, so if you do need to fix it at any point, you've got a little bit of extra hidden in the middle.
Bit of give.
Okay, so that, if I just turn that way out, and put Paul next to it, you'll be able to see, you can see exactly where we're going now.
Yes.
And it's just a case of repeating that for the other side. So popping that one into there.
Right,
so
I got you.
We'll say, I did one earlier. Okay, so let me turn this wrong side out. And I cheated, I did this one on the sewing machine because I had to do it quick. So what we've done is we've sewn both sides in, and to get the beak into the middle, what you're going to actually do is, I haven't put those extra snips in yet. So on this template here, you'll see that A and B go right the way across, and there's little extra lines there. And that's something you're going to have to snip in. So if you have a look at this one here, which is the one we've just been working on, so it feels really scary to do this, but fleece is massively forgiving and it doesn't fray, so you'll be absolutely fine. So small bits at a time, and snip it more if you need to, rather than put a massive snip in and have to fix it.
Less is more.
Yeah. So we're going to snip along that side, and we're going to snip along that side, and then we've got our little beak. We want to put that in from the front and make sure that we can get it sandwiched. If I turn that like that. So obviously we've only got half in here, but if you have a look at the full one that I've got here, it's exactly the same principle. We're going to sandwich it in between, and then if you have a look on this one, all I've done is stitch back and forth through all of those layers. So that will, I need a little bit more snipped on there, to be honest, because that's not quite enough to get that sandwiched in. So I'm going to put another couple of tiny snips in there. and then you're going to sandwich the whole thing in the middle, like that. And then we're going to stitch back and forth. I would put a good few stitches in this to hold it really, really firmly. And then once you've put all those stitches in, then if you turn the whole head right side out, you'll start to see that little face coming together.
Aww.
So you've got a choice now. You can either add the eyes at this point, or you can leave the eyes till you're finished. I mean, it is marked on the template of where to put your eyes. There's little marks on there, little circles. So you can mark those on your template and put them in at this point, or I tend to wait till the end, because I think once you get the stuffing in, it's a lot easier to see exactly where the eyes go, and it's often worth stuffing it, putting the eyes in, and then taking the stuffing back out and finishing it off.
Okay.
So I tend to do it that way, but it's up to you wherever you're kind of most confident. So if you can give me a second, I'll get the grey bits ready, and then we'll start to put them all together.
Perfect, perfect. I've got little grey bits here as well, waiting to go. I've been surrounded. Right. Oh, now the penguin is still available if you want to have a go at that, because you can always catch it on rewind. You go back and look over it as well, and you'll get everything you require for them to actually go along with the craft along for that. But honestly, our little penguin, we don't have a name for the penguin, do we?
Paul.
Paul.
Yes.
Of course we do. Yeah, we do. Paul. Paul the penguin. But we have other craft-alongs coming up for you as well, so if you want to join in. And these are all for August, so get in now and join in. Honestly, the responses to the craft-alongs have been absolutely fantastic. They've been really, really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm still waiting to do my little parts of the penguin for tonight. But the ones I did, I really enjoyed it. And if you're just thinking, I want to get started on a craft, it's that getting going initially, and that's why these are so perfect to go for it. Now, we've got 6 for August. We've got 6 available that you can join in with right now. So we've got plenty. Should we start off? We'll give you the list of of all of the lists that you can see. So coming up, the details of the numbers are on there, and the next one's with Hayley Smith. It starts on the 2nd of August, and that's your wonderful little trinket box. I've actually got it here, the little trinket box. So we'll have a look at those in a second as well. So that's for £5. We've also got then a fantastic course then with watercolour painting course with Matthew Palmer. That starts a day after. That's the 3rd of August. That's again only a £5. Then we've got the messenger bag, which is proving very popular. If you'd like to join that course with Hayley, the brilliant Hayley will take you through, and that will start on the 4th of August. Now, that's still only £7, but you'll have a great bag at the end of that as well, which is brilliant. Then, the next 3 courses, we've got the Crochet Granny Square bag. That's going to be with lovely Catherine. That starts the 5th of August, and that is only £8. Then we've got the Proggy Rag Rugging Hedgehog course with our lovely Hayley, and if you did enjoy the rag rugging that was taking place earlier on today with 2 shows, then if that's got you going, then that's a perfect course to do with Hayley to really give that a go to start with. Again, that starts on the 6th, and that's only a £5. And then we've got the Knitted Cozy Hat course. That's with lovely Katie Barber, and that's also just £7. That starts on the 7th. All those item codes are available. They're all on the web, but everything is here. The little trinket box, by the way, is really cute. So if you are thinking to go for this, then how about that? You'll get everything you need, and you will be able to go from start to finish, and this is the project that you will be able to make yourself. How cute and beautiful is that? And it really is there. We've got lots of little fibres that are in there at the moment.
Well,
so little bits and pieces.
that's actually all of the threads that were left over from stitching it. So you get
really?
More.
You get loads.
You get loads. You get way more than
That's
you're going to need.
nest.
You also get actually 2 layers of this. So you get your plain blue one, which we've used for the lining, and you get your white one, which has got the printed pattern on to use for the outer.
Oh,
so
that's brilliant.
in theory, if you were sneaky and you had a spare bit of fabric, you could probably make 2 of these.
But we didn't say that. A £5.
Well, I did.
Bet you did.
But...
So did. Just a £5. 379411. Which bag? Oh, the messenger bag. Yeah. Oh, now. This is how it would come in the black and white. But Hayley mentioned earlier on that they've done a little bit of sort of like colouring versions on that one, so you can sort of really go to town however you want to do. Would you suggest colouring it before you make it then?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to add your colour, then I would say definitely add your colour before you start, because you want to be able to do it while it's on the panel, so you can get your colour right to the edges of your seam allowances.
I see, yeah.
And B, it's a lot easier to colour when it's flat.
Right, well, there we go.
Simple as that.
Absolutely perfect. £7. Yours will come in the black and white. It's 616533. That one starts the 4th of August.
Look in the pocket on the front.
Of the coloured one or the black and white one?
Either. They've both got a snazzy coloured lining.
Oh, hang on. Oh. I love a snazzy coloured lining.
Well, you can open the bag as well. It's also inside the bag.
Oh, look at that. That's snazzy. And that, oh, you got a little something in.
Yeah, well, it's just to hold.
Shopping?
It's just to hold the shape.
Oh, you've been quite a bit shopping. I won't get the bottom one out. But there, you can see the lining hopefully in there. Look at that. That's lovely. That's what I call a snazzy lining.
Thanks.
I like that. £7. That starts it's 3 weeks. That's on the 4th of August. If you'd like to join in with the messenger bag. Oh, there's another little. You also get another little pouch in there as well, which is great. Right. The hat is there, the hedgehog is there available as well if you want to do that, or to have a little go at. The website's got all the details. I do love a little hedgehog. And the hats, of course. So all of those, get involved. What great. Oh, and also, I know you may be aware of it, but there may be some, maybe a relative, friends, family that have just been talking about getting involved, you know, and you think, why don't you let them know what we're doing and get them to come along? What a great introduction.
What we're also suggesting for people is you can buy multiples of these. So if you want to get a group of friends round, maybe 3 or 4 of you want to kind of join together and do them together as a class.
That's a nice
then
idea.
Absolutely, because a lot of the classes still aren't running yet, so you can get, you know, half a dozen of the kits and all work together.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea. Love it. Love it.
Right. One thing I do need to say is the messenger bag, we have designed that one to be done with a sewing machine. You can hand sew it, and I will tell you how to hand sew it, but the demonstrations that we do for that one will involve a sewing machine.
OK, fair point. Nicely said up front. Thank you. We have had an email in from Elaine, I'm hearing. Hang on. Elaine, I think, is it Elaine? I think it's Elaine. Elaine, apparently, is saying she's lost.
Right,
and she can't, now what is it she can't do? She can't figure out how to put the black and the white together on that one. Elaine, don't worry, Mrs. here.
Let's quickly step by step that, and we'll show you. So, your black piece has got, when you cut it out of the template, it's got a short straight line here with C and D on it. That short straight line is going to line up with C and D on your kind of curvy, kind of tummy piece, let's call it. Okay? So what you first of all need to do is mark those 2 points. And then what we did on our first one, which I can show you on the other half of this one. So I've taken this point here, which will be equivalent to D on this one. And then the also equivalent point that we marked on here. And I'm going to just put a pin in that goes all the way through both of those. Once I've got that in place, I can then manipulate these bits of fabric, and it'll kind of hold that central point that we need. So I'm going to then turn that white piece. So what I've got lined up is a short straight line across here. So I'm just going to pin these rather than actually sewing them, because to get the other bits in, I'm not unfortunately going to have time to sew the whole thing again. So then once that's pinned there, or once that's sewn to that point, I'm going to stop, double stitch there, and then twist it round, lining up my black with my white, and then stitch another short straight line. Again, put another kind of stay stitch in there, and then turn it around a bit more. And the one thing you need to make sure you don't do is stretch this too much. You need to keep it nice and flat as you go, because if you stretch it too much, you'll end up with a great big long bit down here, and you don't want to do that. This piece will stay nice and flat. It's this outer piece, the black head piece, you just want to make sure you don't stretch too much. So let me just pop another couple of pins in so that this follows the way that we'd stitch it, and we come around a bit more and pop a pin in. Now, if it's easier for you to put all the, put all the pins in, or just do a rough tacking stitch around it before you start, then that's also fine. It's whatever works for you. So let's get another one in. and then one more, and then that should take it round and have that head
Lovely.
completely in there. So if I show you that, and then there still should be a gap in the middle there, and that's where you're going to pop your beak in. So because we want the beak to be on the inside, what we have to do is push it through from the outside. Let me just take that one out because that was just our positioning pin. From the outside, push it through to the inside, because it's very tempting to sew it in like that, but then it'll be the wrong way round.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you need to make sure that your beak faces into the head. Okay, and then that we will sandwich together. So a 3-layer sandwich. So you've got your black on the top, your white that kind of goes around the corners there, and your orange in the middle. And then you're going to stitch through, you're going to line them up properly, not like that. And then you're going to stitch through all of those layers, and that will give you what I've got here. Let me put it the same way up so it looks the same. And then that will create the penguin. So hope everybody's got that, and that cleared things up for you, Elaine.
Elaine has already emailed in and said,
she's
now
very
I
good
see.
at multitasking.
She's very good, very good.
Very
Elaine,
good.
you're more than welcome. Thank you so much indeed for getting in touch. That's what it's all about. So we can go through that as well.
We've got to crack on now because we've got to get these last bits in. So I've got the body pieces, and on your body pieces here, that's what they look like. Now it does tell you to leave a bit of a gap. So I would say if you leave on this one, I've left a kind of gap just here to be able to turn it right side out. What I would recommend you do is your gap that you're going to leave, don't leave it right here, or don't leave it at that point where you change direction, and don't leave it right on that tip, because we're going to need to have that as an anchor point for another bit. So we're going to just have to speed up a little bit here, I'm afraid. So we are going to do a little, continue with that same running back stitch up here, and then we're going to stop because we need to leave a space to turn it right side out. So I'm going to make sure that I've got a really solid stitch there. So I'm going to go in and out a couple of times to make sure that's nice and solid, and then just tie that off. And then I'm going to do the same at the top. We're going to start from that point where it changes direction. I have actually drawn my lines on the other side, and I've decided to sew on the other side. It's about right, isn't it? Sounds about right. So, oh, and I got no knot. Okay. So, in and out, and we're going to whiz up this side as well, because what we're trying to create is a nice straight line for us to work off to put it all together. So let's quickly whiz up here. Next step is to attach that nice big long straight tummy piece onto either side of this grey piece here, and either a tacking stitch or a couple of pins will help you out with this one. See, I'm pulling it quite tight and it's kind of puckering up there. You don't need to worry about that too much, because when you turn it right side out, the fleece has got a little bit of stretch to it, so that will disappear. So we're going to go one more, 2, 3, and because these two bits end together, we can use that little whip stitch to finish this off again, so we get a really nice solid finish, and tie those off. So that's what that's done, is left us with that little gap in the back. And if I have a look on this pawl over here, it's got a little gap on the back because that's how we're going to get the stuffing in.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we have to do that in 2 parts and leave that little bit of a gap in there. So the next step is to take what will be the tummy of the penguin. I'm going to line up the sides. And what you need to remember is you need to leave a 1/4 inch or the seam allowance that you've got on your pattern for your black piece needs to be left, because you're going to have to sew round the top there a little bit later. So you want to kind of line these up in a kind of a 3-way kind of hexagon triangle-y thing here, so that you can get that into there. Let me just get this needle back and pop that into there, and then let's just tie that off. And then we're going to do the same as we did with that bit where we had the head and we had that curved bit. We're just going to line these up so we've got a short straight line at a time. And we're going to quickly whip our way. Oh, I'm caught on the nose. There we go. Quickly whip our way all the way down here. Now, I'm going at a fair pace now because I've got to try and get this finished.
Well, could I just say I've got a bit of success over here as well?
Have you?
I've just managed to thread a needle. I've
given you an easy thread needle.
15 minutes I've been here trying to do this.
You've got one where you just ping it in at the top.
Yeah. No, I thought that, no.
I've given you two, one that you can and one that you can't.
Well, the one that I could ping it in's all right. But that...
What, the other needle that I gave you that was already threaded?
I like those easy thread ones that I had last week. So, do I need to do one of those fluffy knot things at the end like last time?
You can do a scruffy knot.
Scruffy
can
knot,
you
not
remember?
a fluffy one. Yeah, I think I can.
Okay then, go for it.
Let's see how it'll go at that.
That'll do. It'll be on the inside, to be honest. So you're not gonna see it. But I'm just doing exactly the same technique as we've already shown you, lining up both those seam allowances, following the line that we drew on to show where the seam allowance is. Because remember, when you cut these pieces out, when you initially cut them out to the furthest line, that's your cut line for your fabrics, and then cut them out again to that inner line, and that's where you draw on your sew line. So that's what gives you your seam allowance. So I'm just whizzing down here, and then you'll be able to see this body starting to take shape. I'm going as fast as my little fingers will carry me. But yeah, I chopped all the fingernails off. I'm so happy.
Huh?
Well, I had these great big long fingernails, but then I couldn't find the nail clippers to chop them off. And I was driving myself mad because I couldn't, the typing was terrible. Anybody who's had an email off me in the last couple of days, thank goodness for spell check. Just all sorts was coming out. But yes, I found them last night and it's all good. We are back in the land of reasonable sized fingernails.
Well, I'm very happy.
Oh, it was awful, Scott. Right, when we get down to the feet, because obviously we've stitched the feet onto this tummy piece, what you're going to do is you're just going to tuck them under to make sure that you don't stitch them into the edge. You want to stitch just the white to the grey. You don't want to stitch the orange on there because you want the feet to be nice and flappy, like the ones that I've got here. You don't want them, because if you stitch the orange in, it'll kind of add itself into that seam and you won't have nice flappy feet. Everybody wants flappy
Isn't that a film?
No. We've just hatched a little duck and it looks a bit like a penguin.
Oh,
it's
thread's
so
coming out of my
cute.
needle again.
Well, use the easy thread.
Well, luckily I'm back on again tomorrow night. I'll still be here. So what I think that's a craft on with Catherine. But should we go? What are you doing? I'm still trying to thread from Hayley's.
I'm finishing my penguin. Okay, so we're going to go all the way around, and what should happen is your white, don't worry about this, because if you have a look at this little guy here, your white will go all the way around and then it'll stop and you'll still have a little bit of grey left over. That will match up with Paul's bottom, just here, where the white stops and then you've got those little bits of grey to sew up to create his tail. So we're just going to keep going round until we either run out of thread or run out of white, whichever happens first at the minute.
I'm going with the easy thread needle now.
Have you found it?
Yeah, found that one now.
Good. Presenter-proof, the easy thread ones, aren't they?
How easy was that? Honestly, if you buy anything, just get an easy thread needle. That just took years.
Well, we've put easy thread needles in all of the kits.
That's good. I listen. I'll personally vouch. I'll put my name to that. I'll vouch for that. I've been here squinting for 20 minutes, looking at the light, going, put big lights on. I'm in a studio with full of big lights.
I gave you 2 threaded needles.
Yeah, I was doing a little experiment, making sure to see if it works.
So if I just turn this right side out and the head right side out, you can see that's the side of the penguin coming together there now. And then you'll repeat exactly that same process for the other side. Once you've got both sides in, then so let's get that right up to there. So once you've got both sides in, then you'll come along and sew that last little bit at the bottom there. So from where that white meets up to the tail, and that will give you the same effect as on Paul's bottom here, where the white's in there, and then you've got that last little bit stitched up the top, which just creates that nice little pointy tail. So, last bit. I've only got like 7 minutes, so I'm going to go and do the last bit.
You can do it.
So, the last bit, let me get your head inside out again, is this should all be, I'm just going to pin these together so we can see how it looks. This should be here, and that one will be there, and then this one all the way around the edge. So let me just get a couple in there just to hold it roughly in place. That, and then this one will be up here. So we take that kind of tri-point there and make sure it matches in all 3 places. And what should happen now is the back of the head, so we've got this big kind of gap still in the back of the head at the minute. Now that's where we're going to attach our little flippers. And you want your flippers to face, this is quite an important bit actually, because if you get this wrong, your flippers will be facing the wrong way. So we want our flippers to be facing back towards, let me just pop Paul there, backwards towards the back seam. So not facing that way towards his tummy. I mean, you can have them that way if you like. It's up to you. But you need them facing the other way, and you need to put them inside and right up towards that kind of treble seam at the front where all of those 3 colours are meeting. Got a thread caught in there. There we go. And then what you're going to do is sandwich those in the same way as you sandwich the beak in and sewed over that. And you're going to sew round from here up to the middle. And a really good guide for this is your seams should meet. So the seam from the head, which is this one here, and then the seam that goes up the back. Paul, get out of the way. Seam from the head and what? It's just like trying to hog. He's hogging the limelight here.
Yeah,
just trying to get in there.
It is a bit.
That should meet. So I'm going to quickly grab a piece of thread and sew through all of those to show you how that's going to go in, and then we should be able to turn them right side out. Hopefully, get to the very last bit, which is a little bit of stuffing and getting those eyes in.
We can do that in 5 minutes.
Okay.
We can do that.
Of course we can.
I say we.
Is this the royal we that my mum uses when she means I have to do it?
Well, exactly. I may thread a needle in that time.
Okay, so I just need to knot these 2 bits at the bottom. I would definitely recommend sewing all of this with double thread. It's just going to make it a lot more secure and give you a lot more kind of ability to pull against it. So we're going to start at that point with all of those layers, and you do get a nice sharp needle in this, and it's a brand new needle, so you shouldn't have to worry about going through all of those layers, because it will be absolutely fine. But what you need to do is just make sure you've got all the edges lined up together. See, I've got my line marked on there where I'm going to sew, but I need to start with all of those edges lined up, and I would definitely do a couple of stitches in the same point just to hold that together. And then I'm going to go through all 4 layers, up and down, same way as we did before, running back stitch. And if I wanted to, just to hold things in place before I went ahead and started this, I would maybe put a couple of big tacking stitches in there just to hold everything flat and hold everything still for me while I stitch it together. You can, of course, do this on your machine if you want to. Just be careful that your machine can take the amount of fabric that's going through, because obviously there's quite a lot of layers here. There's 4 layers, and sometimes 5, 6 layers on the ends there, where you've got those bits of the seams on the wings. And a couple more stitches, and then I should be able to get this turned right side out and quickly run you through how to pop those safety eyes in.
I have a complaint about the pen. It's marked my fingers.
Yes, join the club, Scott. Oh. I'm not taking complaints, I'm afraid.
I look like a proper...
I'm not taking them today.
I wasn't expecting to get such dirty fingers with needlework.
Well, to be honest, I've not used the right type of pen. I just used a pen that was going to show up on the telly.
I see. It does on my fingers.
Yeah, it shows up beautifully on fingers and tables. And Okay, so I'm going to just do half of this. Now remember, once you've sewn all the way around with this, you're going to be completely stitched up and you are going to need to turn it inside out from that little hole that you've left in the back. So it's really important that you leave that hole in the back from the beginning. So let me just pin, I'm going to have to cut this off because otherwise I'm not going to get it turned right side out for you. Right, let's just quickly flip this right side out. So I've still got a couple of pins in there, so that'll make it a bit easier for me. I just don't want to stab myself. Oh, I've got a massive hole there that I haven't sewn up yet. I'll use that, quick. Ow, pins, ow, pins. But now you can see, there you go. His little wings are in place. He's looking a bit squishy at the minute,
that's all right.
But that's fine. So you will go ahead and stuff it. I'm going to switch to the kind of more finished Paul. You'll go ahead and stuff it from the back. Now I would recommend you did this first and then marked out exactly where you want those eyes. Because yes, we mark them on the pattern, but you might decide you want yours in slightly different places. Now, to add the eyes, let me just use this one. What you're going to do is you're going to snip the teeniest, tiniest little hole in there. Ow. There you go. And then you're going to push through the black part from the front to the back. And then these eyes are safety eyes and they do have a one-way fastener on them. So you're going to flip it and then you're going to push that on, and what you'll hear is you'll hear click, click, click as it goes on. There you go, click, 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 and then that's in place, and that's not coming out. That can't come out, so it's perfect if you're giving it to younger people.
Perfect, perfect, Hayley.
That was close, wasn't it?
Welcome to the world, Paul. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much indeed. Absolutely brilliant. I hope you've enjoyed your craft along with Hayley.
You've done very well.
Thank you.
You've served wings and there's all sorts there.
Dirty on my fingers. It's been lovely. So you're back in on
Monday.
Monday.
We're going to finish off the stitching area.
Oh, right, okay. Back in on Monday from Hayley. I'll see you again tomorrow evening. We'll do it all again, and so lots more shows. Don't go anywhere. More after